welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, see, now there's a pretty intro song.
You know what I was thinking since we're approaching our 200th
Yes.
episode? I was like...
You don't look a day over 125,
right?
sis.
I thought so. I feel fresh. I was thinking, do we need new music or do we...
Oh,
you know
should
what
we
I
do
mean?
a poll?
Right. Like, do we need a new theme song?
I mean, there is kind of comfort in that.
Yeah.
Remember when you first introduced me to that music and you sent me the clip of what it was going to sound like, and I was at the airport, and then Landon videotaped me dancing to it in the airport? That was one of my favorite memories.
Yes.
Yes.
That seems like ages ago.
It was ages ago.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, but then, so I'm, as you know, watching the Will and Grace reboot.
The new one you're watching now.
I finally got to the new ones.
Yes.
And I like the new song because it's like a variation.
Yes, like a more modern take on it.
And I was like, do we need that?
Do we need to add like a snare drum in the background or like a kick drum? Like a bass line? Boom, boom,
maybe something. Or do we be consistent? I don't know. I don't know.
People, write in. This is your moment.
Write us and let us know.
Yes.
I don't want to make too many changes. You guys don't like change, but...
Who does?
It's just something to think about. We have 2 more episodes.
Oh my gosh. That's like right now.
Hi, everybody. How are you, Sarah? You don't seem yourself today. You under the weather?
Yeah, there's just like bugs going around.
You know what? I was reading about the epidemic of the flu.
It's really bad.
I hope you don't have that.
Okay, knock on wood. But I have heard there's a girl in my cohort who works at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And 2 people who are regulars at her coffee shop died.
Oh my God.
Of the flu.
That is hideous.
And
Were
one
they
had
elderly?
gone to the hospital that day.
No.
Come home 24 hours later.
Were they elderly? Or what?
I don't know. One was like not elderly.
Oh my God. Did you get a flu shot?
Yeah, but like not this year.
You have to get it every year, Sarah.
I didn't then. No.
Okay. Well, that's bad news for you.
Yeah, I know. Did you? Yes.
Of course, because remember I got the tetanus shot. And
right.
They were like,
might as well.
Yeah.
Whenever my friend Kelly had her baby, I got the flu shot and the whooping cough shot.
You were just like at the hospital and were like, what the heck?
No, she said, hey, if you want to come over and see my baby, you better go get yourself a shot.
Oh my God.
And so I got the whooping cough because that was going around.
That is crazy. I would have been like, I don't want to see your baby.
No, I really wanted to see your baby. I wanted to see it right then.
That is a hoot and holler. Well, I hope you don't have the flu.
Me too.
Hopefully this show will make you feel a little better. It's like chicken soup for the soul.
Right. Well, you know what? Just like I was listening to one of our previous episodes and I came over in a crummy mood one day and you just quickly turned that around with a poo knife story. So what you got for me today, Sus?
Somebody tweeted about that and was like, I really love that you asked the important questions. Is it serrated? It's like such a good point. Like,
yeah, there's journalism right there.
There was a lot to learn about the poo knife.
I know. I still have questions, but I'm just going to let it
Wait,
rest.
did you see that somebody tweeted to us and said that he had done it a lot? Mm-hmm. He has a poo knife.
Apparently it's a thing.
I didn't ask any follow-up questions.
Well, and then did you see the other person who said, hey, I've also known somebody to suck toilet water out of a phone?
Absolutely not.
Yep.
They don't send that to me. They know I would judge. All right.
This episode is not about poo.
No, it isn't.
At least
That's
I don't
true.
think so.
No, I have no poo content.
Me neither.
That's
I had to check
rare.
my notes, though.
I
have a story about things that happen in sewers, but it has nothing to do with poo.
We'll see.
It's actually the opposite of what you'd expect to find.
All right, let's hear it now then, since we're on the subject.
Yeah, might as well. So have you heard about how they're having a ton of problems in New Orleans or New Orleans? How do you say that? Which one do you prefer?
New Orleans.
Nolans.
Yeah, Nolans.
Tons of problems. In fact, 93,000 pounds of problems. What do you think they're finding in the gutters there?
Hurricane. Drinks.
No.
Slushies.
You're close, though.
What?
Mardi Gras beads. 93,000 pounds were pulled from the gutters.
Wow.
And it's causing a total problem to all their sewer systems. These Mardi Gras beads are ruining the sewers of New Orleans.
That's really funny, though. Why do you think all of a sudden?
Well, just because of the parade.
No, I mean, like, wouldn't this happen annually?
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. I think, you know what? That's a good question. Maybe there is some link between recent storms and there being a problem already with the drainage systems or like the sewer systems in that city.
Do you think that the beads are like still on the necklaces, or do you think it's just piles of beads?
Ooh. I think that's
not a good question.
Because now I'm trying to picture it. I think they're still on the necklaces because you know how
too.
They're kind of attached.
It's hard to get those things apart.
Yeah.
They're meant to last. Have you ever had, the what are they called? Royal cake? What the hell is that cake called?
Yeah, where like there's a little baby hidden in it.
Yes. Have you ever had one?
No, but they look delicious.
Yeah. But
are they?
I bet they're not, though.
I know. You know what else I hate? Speaking of which, those stupid Pantone or whatever.
Nobody wants those.
Somebody at Trader Joe's back in Christmas tried to convince me, no, this one's different and it's delicious. I was like, how much are they paying you to say that? And they're disgusting. Those things have never been good. I don't even know if I'm saying the name of the brand right. They're horrible.
My bestie, Kelly in Pittsburgh, she's Italian, so they eat that cake or whatever, bread or whatever the hell it is.
Yes.
Is it New Year?
It's either New Year's or Christmas.
Something. And she gave it to me one time. It was so nice, but I was just like, why are people eating this? It's sort of like the fruitcake thing.
Yeah, it's like a cake in a box that like shouldn't be in a box for that long.
And there's raisins, right?
Yeah, there's like dried fruit in it.
I never want fruit in my cake.
Me neither.
Just across the board. Well,
carrot cake.
That's a vegetable, but that is the exception.
And boy, oh boy, if anybody makes a good carrot cake, it's Susie. Yeah.
I have never made carrot.
But I feel like it's in the same category as zucchini bread and banana bread. So I feel like since you have those ones down, I know that your carrot cake is probably bomb. Am I right?
Best. I've never made carrot cake.
Like ever?
Never.
How is this possible? You are like Susie Homemaker.
I just didn't have a desire
well,
to
you
make
should
it.
Probably try that sometime. Because I feel like you got all the other vegetables and cakes.
The only reason I make banana bread so much is because the bananas go ripe and then no one will eat them.
But they will in bread form.
Exactly. So it's a way not to
waste.
Whereas carrots, they're fine. Yeah. No one's, they're not going bad.
But you made zucchini bread before too.
Yeah, that's true. That's only when you have like a garden and someone gives it to you and you're like, what the hell am I going to do with all these zucchinis?
Make some bread.
I'll try to make carrot cake if you want.
I mean, I'm not forcing you into the kitchen, for goodness sakes. Susie, put on an apron. Get in there and make me a carrot cake.
My whole menu is just like vegetable and produce confections. For no reason. I don't know how this got put on me.
I'd like all of my vegetables in sugar and flour, please.
Not to, stick with this New Orleans theme, but
But let's.
Road Rules 2, which is the one Tim Beggy was on, was in the Mardi Gras parade as one of their missions. And their mayor, you know how they had mayors on the show?
Oh, right.
He was Harry Connick Jr.
Stop it. For real?
For real. And I am
What's
so
wrong with
jealous.
our seasons? Is that Harry Connick Jr.?
Yeah. And Chris Farley was on that
season.
Stop it. Right?
Really went downhill.
Who did you get?
Oh, you know
RuPaul,
who we got?
You got.
No, that was the GLAAD Awards.
Oh.
But we did get the lead singer from this band called Lords of Brooklyn.
All right.
Which was they were pretty good. I was like real into punk music at the time, so they were kind of like Brooklyn punk.
Into it.
And he was so hot. And he drove us in his Cadillac. And I was like, I am too nerdy for this guy to like me and like way too young. But he was so hot.
And he wasn't into you?
No, because I was like I was like 21. He was probably in his like late 30s. And he had tattoos. And he wore that like the cool hat.
Do you know his name?
I bet we could look it up.
Right.
And I listened to their CD just on repeat. It was so good. And he was sexy. But I also had a boyfriend at the time. But,
well, that ruins that.
Yeah, well, the boyfriend didn't last either, so whatevs. Should have got with that.
You know what will last?
What?
Is your obsession with Le Tote.
I have a Le Tote, or a tote I have to customize right now.
See?
Yeah, I just sent it in. I love that service.
I love it.
Right. It is like the greatest.
Right. I actually like it even more. Like, I used to just love it, and now I love it even more.
I don't even go I don't even have to, like, worry about what am I going to wear.
The deal is, and all of my pictures are like, where's that turtleneck? I'm like, Le Tote. This one I'm wearing, Le Tote. Everything
that one.
I have is friggin' Latote.
Can I feel it?
Yeah.
Let me feel that.
It's
okay.
very nice.
That's fabulous.
Thank you.
Ugh, you always look good.
If you're not familiar, Latote is essentially a sort of subscription service for clothes, but the difference is that you can wear the clothes as much as you want, and then you can return them or you can keep them at a really low cost. And they have designer brands like BCB, G. Max Azaria, Nike, Rebecca Minkoff, Olivia Culpo was on there.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, they have tons of stuff.
A bunch of new Calvin Klein stuff that's really cute for work.
And they are great because if you're pregnant, you can get maternity clothes without having to buy $1 million worth of maternity clothes.
Right.
And then once you send your box back, you get another one immediately. It's not like a once a month thing.
It, no joke, took 24 hours for me to get, for when I dropped it off at the post office, because they give you the bag. It's already pre-labeled and everything. It's so easy. And then, I mean, maybe even less than that, I get this notification, customize your new Latote box. We're ready for you.
Go to latote.com. That's LETOTE.com to enter promo code BRAINCANDY at checkout to get 50% off your first month. Once you sign up, you'll receive your completely customized tote within days. Just wear what you want and return everything in the mail when you're done. It's that easy. Again, that's latote.com. Enter your code BRAINCANDY and always have something new to wear with fashion delivered right to your door. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what are they going to do about those beads, though?
Well, they have a solution.
What?
And I thought the name was adorable.
What?
They came out with a thing called Gutter Buddies.
Who came out with it?
I don't know. Somebody really smart who was in charge of city planning or whatever, or at least the sewers. And they're these little, not little, they're big. They're like covers for the gutter that allow water to go through, but not beads. And I'm like, took you long enough.
So this is like a city... implemented
Gutter Buddies
solution.
Yeah.
Why?
Gutter Buddies, also the name for the people who will help the drunk friend off the side of the street as he's puking. That's another Gutter Buddy.
Well, question for you. Yeah. What is your theory on why every city doesn't just have that style of gutter to begin with?
This is a good point.
To prevent garbage from going
Because
down.
even just leaves. I mean, when in the city I live in, there are a ton of trees, and when it rains, and it doesn't rain often, and there's always sewer problems, like drain problems, because the leaves will fill up, and that just clog the drains and everything. It's like we're not designed for heavy rain, so when there is heavy rain, it always causes a problem and flooding and things like that. We should do that.
Gutter buddies need to sweep the nation.
Yeah.
You know
maybe
what I mean?
It's one of those things where if it works well in New Orleans and other people will start to catch on.
Yeah, right. What are these dummies doing?
Is Mardi Gras your scene? Would you ever go?
My scene.
I know. Would you ever go? Ever?
No.
Me neither.
It's not for me.
No. I was thinking long and hard about like the Mardi Gras
long and hard
culture and the boob flashing and everything. And then a memory popped into my head of one time when I went to, where was it? The Roxy on Sunset Boulevard, and saw Steel Panther, an 80s tribute band. And I must have been 18 or 19, and I definitely was pulled up on stage, and I definitely flashed my boobs.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, these little bee stings gave the whole audience a little peeky peek.
Wow, did they like it?
I mean, they were cheering.
Sure,
and then oh my God, this is the craziest part. One person in the audience went to summer camp with me when I was a little kid, came up to me and was like, hey, remember me? We went to summer camp when I was little. And I was like, oh my God, I need to die.
It's not even the boob part that makes me not want to go to Mardi Gras.
Right.
It's just the people and the what is in it. I love my bed. I love my house.
Oh my God, going to sleep is like the best. Isn't sleep great?
It's so great. And just peace is great.
Yes, and who needs a yard of alcohol?
Nobody.
No one ever.
I'll tell you what I love in New Orleans, though, is Jazz Week.
Oh, I would want to go too.
And that is really lovely.
That's like
music,
a different crowd. Yes.
I mean, you just sit there and you're like, holy crap, this is an unknown person who's more talented than anyone I've ever met.
Were you the one telling me about the history of the blues?
I was reading that book.
Or read that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that's
Devil's
really
Music.
cool. The Devil's Music. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just think, holy crow, how are you that talented and you're just on some street corner?
Right.
It's awesome. That kind of stuff I'm into. But Mardi Gras is not for me.
No.
You know how like Isaac and all those guys?
Yes.
What the hell?
Right. Oh, they tried to get me to go to spring break this year. I was like, I think you have the wrong number.
You have got to be kidding.
Oh, yeah.
What are you going to do at spring break besides like usher kids to safety?
Right.
If they are in a date, teach them about consent.
Right. That's exactly what I'm going to do at one of those things. Get
No
on the
means
mic and
no,
be like,
you guys.
yes.
Oh, my God. Forget it.
I'm the worst at those kind of... This is why nobody ever called me to do any of those kind of appearances.
I did one. I did a spring break one time.
Susie Meister did a spring break. Mm-hmm. How was that?
It was great, actually. I'm not even going to lie.
She's like, it was so much fun. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. What?
I met Kara there, you know, Kara Zavaleta.
Yes.
And a lot of people that I'm still friends with were there. And I was just like, it was really fun.
And then you did the spring break challenge.
Less fun there.
Right.
Anyway.
Spring break icon over here.
Right. Accidental spring break icon. Okay. Here's what I want to talk about.
Yes. Oh, gosh. I can't wait. She's got a big old smile on her face.
The smile comes from knowing that no one else will care about what I want to talk about. I read an article.
Mm-hmm. Like you do.
About paper jams. So...
I'm against them.
I am
I'm anti-paper jam.
It was really... What caught my eye was that it was talking about how the printing press was invented in 1440 and the paper jam was invented in 1960.
What?
Like, all that time...
There were no paper jams?
It was manual, so it was just sort of like crank.
Yeah.
Or one page at a time.
Yeah. Which,
you know, is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But then once it became automated or whatever you would call that, motorized...
1945, I said?
1960.
Huh?
Yeah. That's when things got tricky with the paper jam. And I love the article because...
tricky with the paper jam.
I love things that I can read and then it feels applicable to a broader...
It's like a metaphor?
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the paper jam...
Also would be a great name for a band.
Totally. Right. I bet there is a band called Paper Jam. You know, everyone has like a printer or a fax machine or a copier, and like it's this perpetual problem. And all these engineers and stuff sit around all the time trying to get to the bottom of how they can fix it, and there's really not a lot they can do.
Yeah. What's the biggest culprit in the...
So paper is the rub.
So you got to get the nicer kind of paper, huh?
It did say the nicer paper makes a big difference because they put I love when you indulge me. They put paper, if you put this under a microscope, this edge of the paper.
Oh, it's not really straight.
It's complicated. They compared it to like a mountain range.
Yeah.
And that the crappier the paper is, the bigger the mountains are, and the more dust then can get caught in the machinery from the edge of the paper. I'm peak nerd right now.
Well, I mean, I get it. Like, I even had a printer that would always say there was a paper jam, but there wasn't.
That is infuriating.
We ended up, remember, we got a new printer, and it was after Adam got his super deal on the printer. It's like, get rid of this thing.
What was going on was the dust was clogging up the works.
I bet you're right. It was an old printer.
Yeah,
we kept it on the floor for a long time. That's dumb.
I bet you that's what it was. And so, okay. So.
Yes.
I think I mentioned before, like, I'm overhauling my life right now. I'm trying to do a bunch of different things to, like, change things that I didn't like that I was just living with it. I was like, I don't like that. Yeah. You know, when you just accept crap. And you're like, wait, I can do something about that.
Yes. So...
You know, you try to get organized and you try to do this and that, but there's always going to be a paper jam. You know what I mean? Like, as refined as your schedule is, as if you exercise, if you meditate, if you have a good marriage, whatever it seems great.
Yes.
You can't get rid of the paper jam.
This is deep.
It's kind of like about accepting imperfections
or buy a new printer.
Which will still have paper jams.
You're right. Oh, when she's right, she's right.
Yeah. So, like, then it was talking about how this is kind of like the Freakonomics style situation where they're talking about paper jams, but then they talk about how in Chicago in the mid-90s, they had a courthouse that called in the Xerox company and was like, look, we got all these printers and they're jamming.
Jamming. Not like the fun kind of jamming.
No, the paper jamming.
The paper jam.
And so what was happening was that in the courtroom, the judge would say, you have to get the papers in by this time.
Uh-huh.
And then there'd be a paper jam. And what was happening was 2/3 of the defendants were being set free because the paperwork wasn't being turned in on time.
That's a really big issue.
Yeah. So it's like something you would never think of as a big deal, but like
2/3.
Yes, they had to fix that problem. I don't know what
did they?
Yeah, they did. They had to remedy it. I guess they got
went
new
back
printers.
to manual. And there's just like a guy cranking.
Gutenberg's back there like,
yeah.
am I still doing this? But yeah, they said that something as simple like that we use every day involves physics, engineering, computer programming, interface design, chemistry. And it's like something you're just like, I got to print out this stupid thing.
Right. And then when you can't print something out, oh my gosh.
Right? All hell breaks loose.
Like the panic that ensues in my butt.
Right, because what are you going to do?
And then I'm like that person who waits till the last minute to print it, and then sure enough, something goes wrong, and then I have to run into class and say, I just need to print this on the break. I hate being that person.
That happened to me with my dissertation where there was literally a window where I had an hour.
Oh, my God.
And this stupid printer.
It never works when you want it to.
I'll tell you what does work when I want it to.
What?
Stamps.com.
Always. No jams there.
No jams. I am a person who really likes, as I've mentioned, to automate my life, to have things in place that are convenient and easy. I also like a bargain. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that's what Stamps.com represents, because I can ship whatever I need to ship from my desk with a discount on postage. And it's great because it's really convenient. There are no paper jams. I'm telling you, it's like blessed. We had 2 winners last month that won. We had like a reality TV prize pack.
Bag.
Yeah. And a loyalty pack. And I just shipped them right from my desk. And so here's the scoop. They have all the services of the U.S. Postal Service available to you. Any letter, any package, any class of mail. They make it super easy. They'll send you a digital scale that automatically calculates the exact postage, so you don't even have to like wonder if you're getting it right. We use Stamps.com because it's super easy. Trust me, I don't like hard stuff. And right now, you too can enjoy the Stamps.com service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Brain Candy at Stamps.com and enter Brain Candy. And I always just feel like, do the trial and see how great it is. So, yeah.
I had presents to send to my brother and my mom. And just like everybody's birthday was like right now. Thank goodness for that.
Super easy. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
You had all kinds of weird subjects. Do you want me to carry on?
Have you seen this one? This one keeps popping up. And have you seen Vanity Fair's new talent theater series they're doing?
No.
Have you? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that I'm going to introduce you to this. So Vanity Fair is doing a whole series of like it's called Secret Talent Theater.
Okay.
And it's where celebrities come on and they share a secret talent that they have.
Why are they
Oprah's
doing
on
it?
There, Nicole Kidman's on there, Reese Witherspoon.
What's the point?
Just
fun.
To show just a fun little clip and to get people.
Is this a live event?
No, it's a clip that on their website.
Okay, great.
Yeah, or you can find it on YouTube, things like that. But some of them were really funny. And the one thing that kind of stood out is that they're all female, except one male.
Oh, that's interesting.
I thought that too. I was like, oh, what is it? It kind of made me like...
So with the Oprah and Reese, they're promoting that Wrinkle in Time, so they're together a lot. Okay. What about also, like Mindy Kaling?
Dakota Fanning was on there. Greta Gerwig is on there. Lupita, how do you say her last name?
Nyong'o.
How do you say it?
Nyong'o.
She was on there. She taught people how to do a snap. A certain kind of finger snap that's like an African finger snap. So she teaches you how to do that. But Nicole Kidman's, I can't get over.
Tell me.
She eats bugs
Oh, I did see that. I didn't know what the reference was.
Yes, that's what it is. She eats like, and not just a little bugs.
Yeah, she
a
was
lot
enjoying
of bugs.
it. I thought, what is this?
She loves it.
Why?
I don't know. Apparently they're high in protein, and she talks about how...
It?
I mean, it's just a clip of her saying, like, bugs are high in protein, and all around the world, they eat these in other places, and blah, blah, blah.
The
and
one she said was, like, nutty.
Yes. She takes chopsticks, and she just goes to town on... And I was with her for a little bit, because I love crickets.
Yeah.
Love them. Those, from Oaxaca, from Mexico, they'd have the...
They're like sweeping the nation.
They're so good. I was so into those when I was in Mexico that when I came back, I tried to find them I was going to order them on Amazon. And then I was like, they're probably not going to be as good as the, restaurant. I don't know, the fresh crickets.
Yeah.
Like I'm turning into a lizard over here. But she loves them.
Yeah, but hers looked like there was that, but then there was like kind of slimy stuff.
Yes, that's the part I'm not into. It was like maggoty. No.
But I went to a restaurant in Pittsburgh where they had some items on the menu with crickets and different, what would you call those? Insects?
Yeah.
And I was asking, I'm like, is this like just a novelty thing so that you get people to come, like a gimmick? She's like, no, the chef wanted to experiment with sustainable proteins because we're worried about the future of meat and what's going to be available to us.
Well, and then I was watching my new favorite show, What's Phil Having, right?
Somebody Feed Phil.
Somebody Feed Phil.
It used to be called.
So I knew there was one called that. Yeah. Somebody Feed Phil, and he's in Japan, one of the ones I watched, and he goes to this really beautiful restaurant, and this guy's a very creative chef, and he puts little ants on the side of the plate, and Phil's like scared to eat them, but then eats them, and you could see the look on his face of total surprise. He said they taste like lemon.
Oh, wow.
And the craziest part was that the chef said that he's doing a lot of research on ants from different regions because they taste different depending on where you are.
Wow.
So, like, they're peppery here, but they taste like lemon in Japan.
Wow.
What the heck?
Wonder why that would be.
I wonder, too. And he said he didn't know.
Wow.
I thought that was really cool.
That is cool.
Eating the bugs.
It's not cool.
It's not cool to eat bugs. I mean, that Nicole Kidman is eating bugs like that are slimy.
I mean, hey, I guess it's all what you get used to, but what other talents do you know? Like, what's Oprah's? I got to find that out.
Oprah's. How
many talents can one person have, for Christ's sake?
Well, my question to you is, what would you do on there?
I feel like
Susie, you can come up with something. Let me just share other ones so that you can get inspired. So, Dakota Fanning can name all the American presidents.
That's great.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Greta Gerwig showed off fencing. She did like a fencing move. Ella Fanning teaches you how to do a ballet turn. And the weirdest one, and the only to answer your question of what Oprah does, she teaches you the proper way to clean up your pet's urine and feces if they have an accident.
Why?
Oprah's trick for cleaning up dog poop. I haven't even watched it yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
well, although you could use that.
I really could. I know. But my it's not. I can't even call it my favorite one. But the weirdest one, the only one that's a male, is Michael Shannon.
Who is
and
that?
You have to see a picture of him, and then you'll know who he is.
Yeah,
he's kind of like a, what do they call him? Character actor.
Yeah.
He put $2.10 worth of coins up his nose.
Wow, and they were all dimes.
Oh, good question. No, I think some were quarters.
Oh my God.
But he was like,
I do not like that.
Yeah, it made me really nervous to watch. Really, really nervous. So
that's clever.
Amy Adams teaches you how to throw a football.
I bet you they're trying to do a pilot. Like, I bet you they want to turn this into a show. You know, like how Jimmy Fallon started that lip sync thing and then it became its own show.
Yeah.
This to me feels like something that they want
You've got to have a secret hit, something that you could teach somebody, something that is like a funny. I mean, I would just say banjo.
Well, I'm not qualified to teach that. I could probably teach someone to like play French horn.
Emma Stone jumped on a pogo stick, so I think you can. You don't have to like really teach; just showcase your talent. You could do French horn or banjo.
You have a lot of talents.
Mine are like really gross and disgusting, though. One of them is I can pick my nose with my own tongue.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
And Susie's looking at me like I'm going to do it right now.
I've seen it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
Ready?
Oh, yep. It's pretty deep, too. It's deeper than I remember.
Oh, that's what she said. And then the other one is I can turn my feet all the way around backwards.
Yes, that I'll never forget.
Yeah. And besides that, that's kind of all I got.
Well, you know what? We all have our gifts.
Yeah, You, talented musician. Me, nose picker.
No, I remember when we did that on the Ruins, though, mine was to say the ABCs backwards.
Okay, there you go. There's one.
That's too quick, though. You don't want to drag it out a little bit. You want to keep them, on their toes.
Yeah, it would be a really long drum roll for my tongue up my nose.
I have to write notes for this, so I'm like, Sarah picks nose with tongue.
It's been a really long time since I've done that.
How did it feel?
Well, it's kind of like riding a bike.
I feel like your tongue grew, though.
Oh, my God. What if it did? Does that happen? Is it longer? It feels longer.
It feels longer.
Holy
Maybe your
shit.
face is getting scrunched up in your old age.
Why are you saying things right now? What are you saying to me?
Talking.
Well, wait.
Yes.
Didn't we talk about how your nose is it your nose and your ears? What if my nose is getting closer to my tongue?
It probably is.
Oh my God, my face is messing up. What am I going to look like 10 years from now? I'm going to be able to scratch my eyebrows with this thing.
You know what? I wouldn't be mad.
No.
I wondered what you thought about the recent Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition.
I didn't see it.
It just came out recently where they allowed the women to... There were a few changes.
Yeah.
The one could write... Christy Brinkley's daughter, Sailor, she wrote, words that defined her, that were empowering and that things she was proud of. And this was all in response to, how do we make a swimsuit issue in the era of Me Too?
Right.
And then they also let her take photographs of one of the other models because she's a photography student. And so they were trying to do things that weren't dictated by men on set, that were like, you do what you want, don't do what you think we want you to do.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you think, is that enough, or do you object to, the issue in the first place, the swimsuit issue happening at all? What are your thoughts?
There was a time where it did feel like I had more objections to it, but I think they've made a lot of... I don't think there's anything wrong with showcasing female beauty. I really don't. I don't think...
Any beauty.
Any beauty.
Yeah.
Male or female. I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, wow, that is a beautiful human being. I think we just need to expand our definition of what beauty is. And I really loved when Serena Williams did it. And it was Venus and Serena, I think. And I remember somebody jumping on the beach and being like, oh, and it just looked so muscular and beautiful. And I was just like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. So I like that. I didn't like the one where they did the Barbie one, where Barbie was in a bathing suit. Did you see that one?
I did not see that.
Yeah, there was a Sports Illustrated that was at the same time when Barbie was celebrating and it was like Barbie Swimsuit Edition. It was freaking weird.
It's a little much.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything wrong with that, especially because I opened up my phone this morning and in the news it said, oh, where was he from? I think Tonga. It was shirtless Tonga man gives us exactly what we wanted. And he's greased up and oiled up and waving the flag. And the article was, and I just couldn't help but think women would have been outraged if it was reversed. And somebody says, women from wherever give us exactly what we want.
Yeah.
We would be like, oh, don't say that.
Well, it is
and
different.
it was exactly what I wanted because he looked good.
They weren't wrong.
They were not wrong. And that was ABC Sports.
Right.
Or NBC Sports or something. So it wasn't like a,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the swimsuit edition.
Yeah.
My only problem with any of it is if women feel like they're at the mercy of men or a system that is making them objectified, which a lot of people argue that just the existence of these types of magazines is objectifying them. I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah.
Depends on the woman and also the picture and also the viewer.
Yes.
The gaze.
Yes.
It's I feel like when I walked in the Ralph's grocery store, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's nice to look at pretty things.
I had this the weirdest moment yesterday that really reminded me of our Stop Being Polite.
Yeah. Initiative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was leaving the post office, dropping off my little tote bag.
Yeah.
And there was a man who looked like he probably didn't get a lot of female attention. And I kept my eyes on the ground and kept walking. And I got this vibe like he was upset that I didn't look at him and smile. And in my mind, for half a second, I felt guilty that I didn't, because I was like, oh, he probably doesn't have a lot of ladies who smile at him like that or whatever. And then I thought, why do I have to smile at a dude, or why am I concerned with, how this Joe Schmo feels?
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of thoughts that I had about,
I mean, a lot of that has to do with your motivation. Because if you just want to be kind and friendly to someone, great. But if it's this idea, the thing that rings in my head all the time is, I'm not here for your entertainment.
Right. That's what I felt like in that moment.
Yeah.
That, like, I was dressed really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. And, oh, my God, believe it or not, I was wearing heels.
Wow.
Yes. And I think in that moment, he almost looked at me like, you should have smiled at me.
Yeah.
And I felt really kind of icky.
Yeah.
And I had to, as I was walking up the stairs to the post office, I was like, you don't owe him anything. He is a dude on the street. Stop worrying about being polite.
I've been really encouraged by people who've been posting in the Brain Candy Crush Facebook group, and also just like sending messages saying the ways in which they've implemented to stop being polite.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking about how when I've done it, I'm still polite.
Right.
So the wording isn't perfect because I'm not encouraging people to be a-holes.
Right.
I'm just saying, don't do that thing where you acquiesce to like the imaginary or hypothetical idea, and sometimes explicit demands that we place on you to keep the peace and whatever. But people have been saying, hey, one gal had a problem at her salon just like you. And she didn't want to say anything. And then the next day she went back and she was like, you know what? I really don't like it.
Yes.
And they were like, great, we'll fix it.
Yes.
And
I bet she felt really good after she got
and they were probably happy to help.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So
that's fantastic.
Sometimes I think we come up with scenarios like they're going to be offended. They're going to be, and that aren't even true anyway.
True. Totally.
So that's been encouraging. What else is encouraging is all the fun stuff I got in my FabFitFun box that makes my life great.
Fun.
I know it
Fab
really.
and Fit.
My mom always gets the name wrong.
What did she say?
She'll be like, I love those Fun Fab Fit. Like, whatever it is, it's out
I'm
of
going to
order.
be that mother someday.
Because I sent her the previous box, and she is obsessed with the socks that were in there.
Oh, I can totally see her being so into one of those boxes.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's her favorite thing.
She's obsessed.
The fuzzy socks?
Yeah.
I knew it.
She loved them. But guess what? The spring box is here. So it's the 2018 spring box, and it's now on sale. And a few things that they have in there, just for us, it's like a sneak peek, is the Rachel Pally clutch in 3 reversible designs. What? You can get a lip statement palette. There's a love bracelet. There's earrings. And then they have like self-care products. Like they have guava body butter, massage roller. Come on. I want that damn
I'm going to make
roller.
Landon do that to me. Massage me. Roll me.
Yeah. Oil me. Lube me. Give me the socks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this spring box is really, it's packed full of stuff. And get this, the total retail value of the spring box is over $350 value. And here's how much it's going to cost you. This box, delivered 4 times a year for just $49.99. And they're full-size products, as I should say. And when you sign up for FabFitFun today and get your spring box, the FabFitFun spring box is in limited supply, and these boxes always sell out. But if you use our code, you get an additional $10 off your first box. So go to fabfitfun.com to sign up and start getting the box for a life well lived. Use promo code BRAINCANDY to get $10 off your first box. That's over $350 for only $39.99.
Whoa.
Go to fabfitfun.com and use my code BRAINCANDY to get $10 off your first FabFitFun box. Okay, so we have a guest.
Yeah.
This is the author of a book called The Elephant in the Brain, Hidden Motives in Everyday Life. I was intrigued. Well, we love brains.
And I love elephants. This is all true.
And I was intrigued by the premise. So the idea is human beings are primates and primates are political animals. Our brains are therefore designed not just to hunt and gather, but also to get ahead socially, often by devious means.
Yeah.
Ooh. So it says, while we may be self-interested schemers, we benefit by pretending otherwise. So the brain is doing all these like kind of gross things, but we almost trick ourselves into thinking like, no, it's like,
I'm a good person.
I'm a good person. So that's what they're referring to as the elephant in the brain. It's an introspective blind spot that makes it hard.
Like the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I get it.
Makes it hard to think clearly about ourselves and the explanations for our behavior. So the aim of their book is to confront the hidden motives directly and track down the darker, unexamined corners of our psyches and blast them with floodlights. So, I mean, the book is great because it gives a lot of examples of things that we do as humans that are, you think are motivated by one thing, but really are motivated by something totally different and somewhat sinister, perhaps, depending on who you are. I kept thinking about the challenge.
That's the only thing that comes to my mind when you talk about this.
Because even though the challenge is weird and contrived, it's almost like a microcosm of real life.
Yes. It's putting like zooming in on it, but also it's an exaggerated version of it. So you get to see it at a...
It's more obvious.
Yes, it's
like
more obvious.
The games that we play, the lies that we tell, and who is, paying the price for it. Mm-hmm. So I think you'll enjoy the book, The Elephant in the Brain, by Kevin Simler and Robin Hanson. We have Robin here, and he will kind of illuminate a little more about these motivations and how the brain is playing tricks on us and why we're all deeply invested in not believing that this is true.
Ooh, I love that.
So please enjoy this interview with Robin Hanson. All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I love your book. I have lots of questions for you. Congrats on your book, by the way.
Thank you. Years in the making.
Really? Tell me how long.
Well, this has been an idea I've had my whole career. I've been slowly building up with it. And finally, I had a co-author that we could put something together. And even that took several years to actually put the book together. So it's a big idea. It took a while.
Why were you so into it? Why was it something that you were wanting to do for so long?
I was pushed into it.
Why?
I was a naive young social scientist and struggling to understand the world, and a bunch of things just didn't make sense. And this was the key to help me start to make sense of things. And it's something I want to pass on to younger social scientists now. Is the biggest mistake I think I and many others make about the social world.
Well, what I was intrigued by to begin with was that this concept about hidden motives is controversial to begin with. What is the deal?
Well, it's not controversial if you talk to psychologists or talk to people in literature.
Yeah.
People who are savvy, politicians or managers or salespeople. It's not controversial to them. But if you go to the policy world, if you go to the world where they study schools or hospitals or charity or politics, there it's controversial.
You mean they don't... Do you think that they're in denial?
I think for each of us, it's relatively easy to take the parts of our life that we don't think that important and admit there that people are not always honest. So, but for each of us, there's a thing that's sacred to us. For you, it might be journalism. I don't know, right? But if journalism is your sacred thing, then if we talk about medicine or we talk about religion, we even talk about politics, you'll be okay with saying that in those areas, people aren't very honest about what they're doing and they have relatively no motives. But if you get to the thing that's your precious thing,
that's
that
no
you're
fun.
Sacred about, then admitting that about your sacred thing is a big deal. It sort of breaks this precious thing to you.
I really liked how in the book you and your co-author acknowledge your own motives for writing the book. Like yours aren't hidden.
Yeah, well, I mean, presumably there's probably even worse ones that we're into.
Yeah, but those are the fun ones, so it's okay. But yeah, you kind of said, hey, this helps our resume, or it could help our careers, whatever. But why is it so hard for us to do?
So all of the hidden motives we have are all completely reasonable things to do.
Yeah.
And many of them are even somewhat praiseworthy. So we say, for example, that in medicine, you're mainly trying to show that you care about people you love. And in politics, you're taking your allies and you're showing them how with them you are. You're together.
Yeah.
And ordinarily, you might think that's a pretty positive thing.
Yeah.
But it's still the sort of thing that could end up violating a norm, you see.
Yeah.
And what our claim is that humans have devolved this mental capacity to constantly watch what they're doing and other people are doing and try to interpret it in terms of things that might or might not violate norms.
Right.
And since a lot of norms are in terms of motives, we're constantly managing a story about our motives and other people's motives. We want to spin our motives to be the best they can and other people's the worst. And even if we have pretty good motives, those motives still might violate norms. And we're trying to find the motives that would most avoid any potential norm violation.
One of the themes throughout the book is this emphasis on the fact that human beings are animals, right? So why is that so important to what you're trying to describe?
Well, you're trying to ground the expectation that pretty much everything we do should make sense.
Right.
And it should make sense in a functional, competitive sense.
Yeah.
That is, people often get in this habit of just separating out humans as this other animal that isn't really an animal, and none of the usual rules for animals apply. When you go look at tigers or rabbits or snakes or anything else out there in the world, you see that they are exquisitely detailed in order to get their job done.
Right.
Their size of their body, the skin, their teeth, the kind of habits they have when they're awake, when they're asleep, how much energy they have. It's all exquisitely tuned in order for them to win in their world, in order for them to mate and to eat prey and to escape predators and to not freeze to death.
Yeah.
We expect that of animals. We understand that most everything animals are and do should be understandable in terms of the kind of competitive world they're sitting in. And then when we come to people, we throw that out.
Why?
We look at things people do and we say, well, they just must be doing it for fun. As if fun was an explanation. If you saw, a rabbit sitting out in the cold, freezing to death, you say, well, he must be having fun. And that wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
Well, why is the rabbit having fun freezing to death, you'd say?
Right. But when it comes to us, we sort of don't acknowledge that.
We have all these things we do that we don't want to probe into the reasons. Mm-hmm. And fun is a great example. Fun is this mental block. And you say, why does somebody do it? Well, for fun. And you might think, well, how is that an explanation? I mean, we want an explanation in terms of like things that make you live or die or have more descendants or, something that works.
Right. More important. And I mean, even I had read another book that was talking about play and children, and that even the word play, people have a hard time defining what we know it when we're doing it. It's like the porn definition from the Supreme Court. We know it.
There's a literature on play, and from the biological point of view, when we look at animals playing, we can easily distinguish it and understand it. It's just when it gets to our play, we have more trouble because we don't really want to see play as functional. We don't, because it goes against the way it feels to play. You see, from the point of view of playing, it's not supposed to be for a point.
Right.
It's supposed to feel like you're not achieving any particular goal in play. That's the mood you're supposed to be in play, is not achieving any particular useful goal. You're just playing. Right. But of course, you're an animal created to play, and play has functions. Well, however you're feeling about it, there's a reason play is there, and there's a reason you evolved to play. But we just have this mental block of thinking about it.
You went so far as to talk about comedy a lot and how we love to laugh. Yeah.
So laughter, we say, is a play signal.
Right.
It shows that we're in a play mode.
Yeah.
But you see, we're often playing with the boundaries of norm violations. So when a simple animal like a rabbit or a tiger plays, they play chase. They play run, they play fight, they play catch, they play hide. Those are the things those animals do, and so those are the things they play. We're a really social animal, so we play social things. And because we have these norms, we play social norm violation. So in our social play, we're often pretending to violate a norm, pretending to do something that if we did it seriously would be a terrible thing to do. But we do it in a playful mode, and we're showing that it's just play, so it doesn't count.
Right. We are weird. You even say that in the book. You're like, humans are strange.
It's strange to us, but of course, once you understand what we're saying in the book, it's all straightforward and makes sense. These aren't strange things for people to be doing necessarily, the things we're really doing. The strange thing is that we don't know. That's the biggest puzzle that we try to grapple with in the book is, well, if we think we're doing one thing and we're really doing another, and the other thing we're doing makes complete sense, it's a completely reasonable thing to be doing, why don't we just admit it and say that that's what we're doing?
Right. And I mean, that's kind of the point of why you call the book The Elephant in the Brain, right? Is that there's this big old thing hanging out
that we don't want to admit.
Yeah.
And plausibly for most people, it's maybe not worth their noticing it. If we evolved not to notice this thing, maybe we're better off not noticing, at least if we're still in an environment that's a lot like the environment our ancestors were in. We acknowledge that. We don't want to force everybody to pay close attention to this.
Yeah.
But we think that if you're a social scientist or a human scientist or somebody who studies human behavior and policy especially, you have more of a responsibility to understand this and take it into account.
Yeah, that was the next thing I wanted to ask you was, this sort of idea that academics love to be asked, so what? Why are hidden motives important?
There's clue to something that we don't want to admit, that we might not realize we don't want to admit because we're hiding it so well from ourselves. And some of them are relatively simple and mundane things, and other things are bigger things. But this is a big clue to human behavior that we are, in fact, not that honest with ourselves about a lot of the things we're doing.
There's an episode of Friends, maybe you have seen it, where they have a debate amongst the characters about whether you can have a completely selfless good deed. What do you say?
Well, I'm sure it's possible in principle. The real question is the frequency. So the world is really complicated. So we have to say right up front, look, almost every kind of class of behavior that people do, they're going to actually end up doing them on average for just an enormous range of motivations. There's just a lot of things you can accomplish with most everything. You can go to school to pick your teeth. You can go to the doctor because they've got some Kleenex you want to grab. I mean, you can just do lots of things for lots of reasons. So when we say that there's a usual reason we give and that we're giving an alternative reason, what we mean is that we tend to prefer to talk about one reason as if it was the main thing we're doing. And it's less than we say. It's not that it's zero. So, and there's this other motive that we don't like to admit as much that's more than we say. So if somebody says the dog ate my homework, that works as an excuse because sometimes maybe dogs do eat homework. Something doesn't work as an excuse unless it happens sometimes.
True.
So all of the motives that we say are motives that sometimes apply and sometimes make sense. And that's why they work as excuses. That's why we can pretend that they matter more than they really do, because sometimes they apply. The point is they don't apply as much as we say.
Can you explain the concept? I think you call it self-deception. Is that the right thing?
Self-deception, and we coined this phrase self-discretion.
Yeah.
As a variation.
Yeah.
So self-deception might be where one part of your mind just doesn't realize something that another part of your mind knows.
Right.
And you're just clueless about it. Self-discretion is where one part of your mind kind of whispers it. So the other part of your mind can not pay too much attention if it doesn't want to.
Right.
Maybe it kind of knows it in some principle sense that if it probed enough, it would have to admit it. But it's not focused on it, and it will sort of neglect and not pay attention to it if it can get away with it.
Do you think it's important to try to hear the whisper or not?
Well, again, that's coming down to your purposes. So our claim is humans evolved so that the conscious mind that I'm talking to in you is not the you who makes the key decisions. It's the PR agent. It's the person whose job it is to spin a good story about yourself. And that's who you are as this conscious version of you. And since evolution produced this version of you that's consciously spinning this story, it has a reason for that. And it's probably, on average, the thing you should be doing if you just want to win in the usual sort of environments that your mind was built for, which is all fine and good, except when we stand back and try to analyze the world as academics and intellectuals, if we don't face facts here, we will mislead ourselves about what's going on and just not understand the social world. So if we want to really understand the social world enough, say, to make policy recommendations about how to change things, it's on us to actually pay more attention and understand what's going on.
Do you think that you've changed since you started researching this?
Of course, in many ways, but I'm older. Older, really. So
as a result of the research.
Right? So I think the usual stories we tell about ourselves are inspiring and grand. We think that we humans, at least in our best modes, are wonderful people.
I know.
And we like to think that we ourselves, in our best modes, are wonderful people. Yeah. And we tell hero stories, and we celebrate our best heroes and people we most admire. And we, in ourselves, see those heroes in ourselves sometimes when we do things like the heroes that we most admire. And that's a noble and inspiring and, a nice creature to be in and a nice world to be in, and it's not real.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when you start to realize the real creatures that we actually are, we think the real creatures that humans are still spectacularly interesting creatures. Right. And they're by far the most interesting, powerful creatures on the planet, and we cooperate well, and we are admirable in many ways, but we still just aren't the creatures we would like to be.
Right.
And so it's still a bit of a downer to realize that none of us are the ideal things that we would hope to be, because that's just not realistic.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but that's all right. I mean, let's say everybody read your book and then all these folks who maybe haven't admitted that this is true suddenly agree with you. What do you think that they would choose to do differently with regards to policy and those types of things?
Well, they might be more realistic about things. So, for example, we, in our personal lives, tell wonderful stories about medicine and school.
Yeah.
We say that medicine and school are wonderful things, and therefore, when I push you to get medicine, I'm being a good person by pushing you to get a wonderful thing. Mm-hmm. If I push you to go to school, I'm pushing you to get a good thing. If I have school, then that makes me a good person for having this good thing of school. And so a part of our usual incentive to spin a positive story on school and medicine ends up making us say they're great, wonderful things. Mm-hmm. Now, it turns out in reality, they're not as good as they seem.
Right.
We really are wasting a lot of resources on medicine and school. On the margin, we could cut back a lot with very little harm.
Right.
And that would probably be a good thing. And maybe we would, if we were more honest with ourselves, we would cut back a lot.
Yeah.
But the problem is, when we talk policy, this is, again, a world where we pretend we have one agenda and we really have others. Yeah. When we talk policy and politics, we pretend as if, of course, the agenda is about which policy will be best for the world. Mm-hmm. And I will give you arguments about why some policies are best for the world, and you might give counter arguments by why other policies are best for the world. But of course, what we're doing is trying to figure out together what's best for the world. And if that were really true, then there'd be a lot more potential for me to figure out better policies and tell everybody about them. Because what they really want to do is just find the better policies and implement them so that we can all be better off. Mm-hmm. Now, but what if it's really going on when we're talking policy is that we are in various political coalitions and we're trying to show our allegiance to our political coalitions.
Right.
Then when we talk policy, we will find excuses to keep showing allegiance, and we won't actually be that interested in which policies are more effective.
Right.
Which explains a lot about politics and policy conversations. On the other hand, it means that if I actually come up with a better policy, it doesn't mean anybody will want to adopt it.
Right.
And this was a big problem I had. That is, early in my life, I was excited by social science because I saw all these big ways in which policy could be better.
Right.
And then I started to realize that lots of people have been proposing big, better policies for a long time,
right.
and people hadn't been that interested in adopting them. And that became a puzzle. What's going on? Why can't we get anybody to listen to our better policies? Is it because we're not explaining it well enough? We're not doing enough demonstrations. We don't have enough books that put it in ordinary language. We aren't joining the right political coalitions to lobby for them. What are we doing wrong? Because we have all these big improvements nobody's interested in.
Right.
And this is my explanation over the years is the problem is we've been solving the problems people say they have, and they've been lying to us about their problems. And so they kind of know that. So they know when we come up with a solution that gives them more of the thing they say they want, they know not to be that interested because they didn't really tell you what they really wanted. They didn't really want the thing they said they wanted. And so, if I say what I want for Christmas is kale and celery salad, and you give me some kale and celery salad for Christmas, and I might say, ooh, that's just what I wanted.
Right.
I didn't really want it.
Right. My co-host and I are both people who have been on reality TV shows, and I didn't expect this, but while I was reading your book, I was struck by some of the ways that animals behave that sound very similar to the ways that me and my fellow cast members behave, especially when there's a competition.
Yeah.
The social behaviors and political motivations were intriguing to me. I was wondering, I don't expect you to be a big reality TV consumer, but if you maybe know what I'm saying.
I know enough that I've been watching some reality shows for a while.
Right. Like, Survivor or whatever.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, even Survivor from the very beginning, one of the most, dramatic things there is when we talk about picking leaders and picking people in our ordinary lives, we talk about picking the best people and getting rid of the worst. As if it was all a big social way and we're all helping each other. Of course, if we've got somebody who's a lazabout and who isn't pulling their weight and isn't very skilled, maybe want to get rid of them. And if we have somebody who's really skilled and insightful and strong and has stamina, well, of course we want them. And then when you saw in the reality show Survival, you saw that when they were deciding who to vote for, what they were often doing is taking the strongest ones and voting them off.
Right.
Because they saw those as competition.
Yeah.
And you realize, well, in our social worlds, the people we choose and praise and reward aren't necessarily the best.
Right.
They're often the people who we think will help our coalition the most.
Right.
And people who are strong and independent may be threatening to our coalition.
Yeah. And in certain ways, when we're on these shows, at least, maybe not in real life, we acknowledge that there's those motivations because it is a game. Right.
And we're the people watching, and those other people aren't us, and that makes all the difference. You'd see.
Right.
And so that's So this is an interesting fact about acting, even, which is if you have a script, say, of two people at a restaurant who are in love and saying how much they love each other, and you give this to an actor, and they will say, "I can't act this because there aren't two levels." We expect real people in real situations to have multiple levels of the thing they say they're doing and the thing they're really doing. And unless there are two levels, we will find the script and the acting to be unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
Because that's what we think should be really going on, you see. That's what we expect to be
Is
going
that
on
true?
all around us.
That's so bizarre, but makes sense.
And so we are okay with believing often that other people are very political and very manipulative and selfish, etc. We are quite willing to believe that our rivals, people in other countries, presidents, politicians, our boss, our rivals, they're all playing games and being strategic and being mean when they can get away with it. And then when we look at ourselves, we think, but I'm not like that. And then you decide that you and your friends and your allies, you're not like that. And you have these rose-colored glasses about yourself and your allies, and you think you're different, and that's why you're better, and that's why you deserve to win, and those other people deserve to lose because they're not good people like you.
Right. One of the things I wanted to ask you about was that you talked about how there's two schools of thought in the ways that we deceive ourselves, where the old school is Freudian in a way. And sort of, okay. Can you talk about
comforting.
that?
Right. So one story is why do we lie to ourselves? And one simple story is to say, well, it's comforting. Yeah. It feels better to lie to yourself because then the world seems like a nicer world. And again, it's like the fun explanation. It's just on the surface of the emotional response, but it doesn't probe behind that to say, well, why would you have that emotional response? So yes, it makes sense to do things that are fun from your point of view because it feels good. But why did evolution make it feel good to do that?
Right.
Similarly, from the point of view of self-deception, yes, you might feel more uncomfortable when you admit awkward things, and evolution might have tried to push you to not admit them, and one of the ways it pushes you is to make you feel more comfortable.
Right.
when you don't admit them. But it just pushes back the question. Yes, but why is it uncomfortable? What is the point of that? And so we say there's a function. Mm-hmm. And again, yes, we have feelings, and yes, our feelings drive our behavior, but that's just one level of explanation. We have to drive further and say, why do we have particular feelings in particular situations? What's the point of that? And to get an explanation there, we need to go more to fundamentals. What are the main fundamental things we're trying to achieve with our lives and our behavior? And how do these behaviors and these feelings help us achieve those things?
Mm-hmm. We ask everybody what they keep in the trunk of their car. Can you share that with me?
Well, I keep the habit of having clippers for batteries if the battery went in. In the old days when I used to drive, batteries would go dead more often.
Right.
And I would need the clippers to jumpstart it. I haven't needed to jumpstart a battery in a long time.
Right.
But I still keep clippers in the car. That's
Just
sort of an old
case.
habit. Just in habit. I have extra water bottles. I like to have water in the car, and I run out up front, so I got the extra bottles in the back.
See, that's good. You're ready for anything.
So sometimes I've had blankets in the back because I thought I might want to go have a picnic for lunch.
Oh, that's nice.
And so I have just a few blankets where I could go drive to a little nearby park and have a picnic and sit and eat on the grass or something on a blanket.
That's nice. I like that answer.
But the weather, it's not that weather now.
No, right. Not that time of year. Is there anything about the book that you want to share beyond what I've already asked you?
Well, I want to mention that I have a previous book, was my first book that came out a year and a half ago. It was called The Age of M, Work, Love, and Life When Robots Rule the Earth, on a very different topic.
That's fun.
And that's, sold well, but it's in part because it was on a topic that was sexy at the time,
right.
Robots and what's happening with robots.
Yeah.
It's sort of a weird book in the sense that it tries to do a new thing. And so both that book and this book are both like big, grand books in the sense of having a big point of view and trying to make a big claim, which is what I think books are for.
Right.
I always get frustrated with books that are just like a bunch of little anecdotes strung together. They're supposed to carry you along and so you don't get bored. But like, what was when you're done, you go, what was the point? What did I really learn?
Well,
so I like big, ambitious, grand books here like this one. And this one is better written because of my co-author. So I want to celebrate my co-author, Kevin Simler. He was a software engineer and a software manager, and he decided he wanted to take a break for a while and do something more intellectual, more academic. But he said he didn't actually want to go get a PhD because that sounded like too much formality and stuff. So he came to me and said, could we just work together? And after working together, we decided to write this book together, and he sees this as a substitute PhD thesis. Here he's shown that he knows a lot and has engaged in an important question, and he didn't have to go through all the rules. And
he was
like that.
He did the right thing, I think. Well, you're off the hook. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for talking to me.